Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to take a look at the Jack Daniel's single barrel. This one, Dustin, personally selected by the distillery manager. I broke the chain off the side of it when I was trying to get it out of the cask. Sorry about that, buddy.
Yeah, I think it's repairable, though, so...
Yeah. We'll take
I have more. It's all good.
We'll take it for the jewelry manager. Personally selected again by the distillery manager, Chris Fletcher, Master Distiller 2021. Dustin, small bottle.
Yeah, they want to make sure, more people get a hold of these harder-to-get bottles. Mm-hmm. These have not been super hard to get generally, but the last year they kind of disappeared. I don't know what happened, but they seem to be rolling back out on shelves for everybody. So if you've not been buying these, we're going to tell you why you should be.
Yeah, I've always been very complimentary of the single cask from Jack Daniel's. Mm-hmm. Jack Daniel's, I think, was the second whiskey I ever tasted in my life buying Jim Beam. The old number 7.
Yeah.
So it was not a good start.
That is not a pleasant whiskey to drink.
No. And I probably never had another Jack Daniel's until I tried the Gentleman Jack many, many years later. Wasn't really impressed with that one either.
Nah.
And then I have a neighbor who's a huge Jack Daniel's fan, dedicated a bar to it in his basement, all this other stuff. And he let me try a couple of these single barrels. And
beautiful.
I got to tell you, bud, I've been impressed with every single barrel Jack Daniel's I've ever tried.
Yeah.
This one comes in, just for the sake of transparency, at 65.05% alcohol or 130.1 proof, 375 ml. Dustin, as you know, I am Barrel 2, House 11 here on the side. Bottling date 2/17/22. I know Jack Daniel's makes their whiskey different. This is a bourbon, though, yes?
Yeah.
So 51 at least percent corn.
51 corn meets all the definitions of bourbon. Mm-hmm. The only kind of odd thing is they have this Lincoln County method, which is basically filtering through
charcoal, right?
Maple charcoal or
yeah,
something
like
weird.
Maple chips they burned or
which
something.
Has absolutely no rule in bourbon that says you can't do that.
I never understood why they did that. It would seem to take out flavor in the whiskey.
Well, but I think they're maybe putting some flavor back in with those chips too, potentially.
I don't know.
Either way, Mike, this is bourbon. If they sell it, say, through any trade agreement,
it's a bourbon.
It is labeled as a bourbon, meets
okay.
all definitions, but they like to call it Tennessee whiskey because better for the marketing department.
Yeah, whatever. We'll see what the whiskey is. I will say this, Dustin, very dark, rich color.
Yeah, it has like a red hue, and they always have this it reminds me now. This is a note I usually get in Jack Daniel's. Mm-hmm. So again, power suggestion. Doesn't that look like Dr. Pepper? Doesn't it look like Dr. Pepper?
I've always heard that. And every time someone tells me that, I'm like, I smell Dr. Pepper again.
That's this one on the nose. I don't get a lot of Dr. Pepper.
23 flavors.
I get a lot of smoked, seared wood.
Mm-hmm. It is very smoky.
Toffee.
Very sweet toffee caramel. But probably more toffee than caramel.
Yeah.
Vanilla oak.
Rice Krispies.
That's good note.
There's a note I don't use very often, but I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. Rice Krispies.
It's amazing how ashy / sooty it is for a bourbon.
This is, I was going to ready to say, it's sooty.
Mm-hmm. I'd imagine from those oak chips, combined with the fact this is a huge barrel strength offering.
Yeah. And, again, I'm guessing the master distiller. Here's the thing. So Chris Fletcher's not been there very long. I don't know how long, but I've got another Jack Daniel's single barrel proof that it's only a couple years old, maybe 19, 18, somewhere like that.
Blue Label?
No. This is the same series.
Oh, okay.
But it does, on the neck here, it actually says, has Chris Fletcher's name. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the last master distiller, but the other one I have has a different master distiller. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of wondering if maybe Chris is sort of informing us of where he wants to take Jack Daniel's, at least their special releases with this particular series.
I tell you what, I like the super oaky, over smoked version of Jack Daniel's.
Yeah, I do too. I like in bourbon in general, though.
Yeah. I mean, this is coming off as one of the smokier bourbons I can remember.
Yeah. It's got a lot of smoke. I don't know about age on these things, Mike. I know, I think I heard somebody once say they're probably coming in the 6-year range, but that's pure speculation. It's a little warmer in Tennessee than Kentucky. Maybe it ages a little bit faster. I don't know. What are you thinking?
Caramel and funky corn, burnt chips, burnt ends of like beef brisket, And then it kind of comes back to that caramel note. Caramel or toffee, however you want to say it. The finish is pretty sweet, but still, you get a nice little barrel char, a little bit of dark chocolate right here on the side of the tongue. And that smoke's just everywhere in it. I mean, that smoke lingers in the background through most of this experience, like it would a good, I don't know, Smoky Island.
I'm getting creme brulee with intense cinnamon notes.
I miss the spice, but it's
Heavy cinnamon. You know, when you said the beef brisket, I actually took me back to where I've had like beef briskets that they put a ton of cinnamon and brown sugar on.
brown sugar for sure. Yeah.
And I'm getting a lot of that. Not so much to the meat note, but the seasoning.
Yeah, the tips, just burnt tips.
Yeah.
Which you would get a lot of the salty seasoning. Yeah.
I'm not getting the salt, but I get the cinnamon. I get it's almost like they didn't use salt on this one. They used cinnamon and brown sugar to to just like add all that flavor and just roasted it.
And that's kind of what I think it was always kind of intermingled with that charcoal note, part of that filtering process, or that was always my guess. But, then again, there's not really a lot of different versions of Jack Daniels really nail that note down, other than trying a few of these single barrels.
There's a lot of banana note in there too.
You say banana?
Yeah, banana for sure. Now with water, Mike, I swallowed Dr. Pepper.
But what is Dr. Pepper to you, if not vanilla? And
vanilla and prune is kind of what the secret ingredient, I'm told, is kind of prune juice. Actually, is kind of the dominant note.
I was going to say vanilla and grape cola. It's kind of a mixture.
You're in the ballpark, yeah.
Something like that.
I'm getting the cinnamon now a lot more on the nose.
Yeah, I kind of missed the cinnamon note at first. And as soon as you said it, it was pretty obvious.
I think the cinnamon's overpowering on the palate. On the nose, not so much.
But with water, it comes up more.
Yeah, the smoky notes are now subsided a lot. The cinnamon's coming out a lot more. It is kind of actually giving me a little bit of that beefiness, which is interesting. I've never thought of bourbon and beef.
I usually don't. But this I mean, maybe it's the ABV that's driving it, but this is a meaty Jack Daniels. I thought I'd never said that before.
It's very roasted. Just almost like the effect of coffee roast. I don't get coffee here, but I get like the roast.
Yeah, any bean roast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
roasted lima beans. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a smoky, overly charred bourbon for sure.
There's definitely a corn husk note here too, for sure. Dried corn husk for sure. Oh man. So I'm really obviously I'm enjoying this one quite a bit. It's very. I think it's a hard one to describe because it's so off profile for not just Jack, but really, truth be told, bourbon in general. But that's what makes this single barrel series so good. So Jack Daniels, again, this is the master distiller picked this one. He's comfortable going off profile.
Yeah, I tell you what, we talk a lot of times about like what's the best regular bourbon that we can get that's like a barrel strength bourbon. And we talk about E.H. Taylor and Stagg Jr. and obviously Elijah Craig Barrel Proof.
The king.
What I mean? Right. I got to tell you, this is part of the this is going to be the part of the conversation. We need to do that review sometime.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get to that one. We need to do a definitive top shelf edition
of cask strength bourbons that you can usually get.
Regular release, regular releases. All
go.
bourbons become hard to get, but
Yeah.
hey, look, you couldn't get it this year, you couldn't get it next year.
You probably got
5 years, you're gonna eventually get one if you keep looking.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, I always kind of discounted Jack Daniels in the bourbon world for most of the time. I just never went back to them. Never liked any of the offerings of the Standard 2 until I came to these single barrels. But they're way different whiskeys.
A whole different animal, and I mean,
Gotta give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I bought one of these maybe 4 years ago. Walked in the store, tried it, and I went, "Oh my god, people are gonna find out about this." I went back and I bought 5 more, and then as they started to dwindle, I was like, "They're still available." Like everything else in bourbon had disappeared, and that like 2 years took me to go through those. That was like just when I walked back in the store, I was like, "Oh, I can get store picks now too."
How
is this like? How is this like? I guess it's not a secret, Mike. People know about it. It's just Jack Daniels,
and people don't think
produces an absolute massive amount of whiskey,
and they just don't think of it as like this high end bourbon like that you should be searching out for.
Yeah. Well, I think you can't flip it for money.
Well, then
because they make so much of it,
the drinker should know them.
Yeah, and I think most people who are into big, bold bourbon, they know this one. It just doesn't get talked about. It's like it's one of those that like everybody has one, and nobody talks about it.
Figured. Not scored this whiskey.
No,
Dustin. So where are you at as far as a whiskey score on this one?
So Mike, I was Coming in here, I was a little higher than I am today. I'm going to give it an 88. I think that corn husk note is really kind of bringing it back for me. I love the creme brulee notes. I love that cinnamon. I love it. But the corn husk note that I'm getting on the nose and comes up a little bit in the palate, that's keeping it at that 88. If that would go away a little bit more, this could be getting close to a 90. It's that good.
This is a shotgun of a whiskey for me. There are things I like. There are things I really don't like in it. You know, you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Box of chocolates, if you will. I'm slightly lower. I was thinking back and forth between two scores, 86 and an 87. I'm going to go with an 87 because 86 just isn't fair. There's enough interesting happen here that, you know, an 87 is the minimum I can probably give this whiskey. I'm not far from you.
Yeah.
80, I can see an 88. There's a lot of positive things going on. It does some things that are memorable. It's a solid whiskey. If I saw this at a bar, I'd be excited this was available to me.
You know, this is one of those whiskeys, I think, again, it's kind of a chameleon in that depending on what you had before or after can really impact how much you're enjoying it because it has so many things. So that night where you're missing certain notes that we're maybe today picking up or the day you're picking up a few notes we're missing could completely change it because there's just so much intensity. Now, that said, it's not that old. And it doesn't have that complexity and layers that older whiskey has. And so that 88 I give is a very high score for what I assume is a fairly young bourbon. But it's because they're nailing what they're attempting to do here very well. Just a few things off.
This is what I'll say. If you like bourbons and cask strength bourbons, you're going to find things you like here.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a big, bold whiskey person, you're going to find plenty of enjoyment in this bottle.
Oh, yeah.
These things are not that expensive. There's no reason when you see them, any of the Jack Daniel's single barrels, to not give it a chance.
Yeah, especially the barrel proof ones.
Single barrel. Oh, yeah, that's right. I said single barrels, not barrel proof.
Yeah.
Barrel proof, yes. High ABV ones.
Yeah, no, I mean, they've got the whole, they did a...
Barrel proof ones.
Yeah, they did a special release single barrel proof this year. Like, that was its own thing. Coy Hill. Those have gone crazy, Mike. If I could get a hold of a Coy Hill, I would love to bring you guys that review. I can't. They want 7,000 points for that at the local store by me, Mike.
You got plenty?
I have 7,000.
Start spending. Anyway, those are our thoughts on this particular whiskey. If you guys want to see us do a definitive bourbon list on the best cask strength bourbons that are regularly released, let us know. We can certainly do that. We have plenty of them. And Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy summer drinking.
See you then.